What does it strike to you when you look at this term, Mahakumbh Startup? It's like a Kumbh Mela of startups.
It's a coming out party for startups, right? And I hope it'll be the biggest startup event in the world.
It certainly looks like
2 out of 10 right now in terms of the pace at which we have to grow. Even though companies like Genpact are startups.
Yes.
Right? We started in 1996. If you look at Airtel, that was a brand new startup, right? We look at so many other companies which have done so well in India, Infosys, all the IT companies, they're all startups. Now you're becoming an entrepreneur purely by choice. I do think money is the cheapest commodity in the world.
Okay.
And money is available to everyone all the time. The only thing that I can tell you about an initial business plan shown to us by any startup is that it's wrong.
Okay.
It will always be wrong. I mean, we started with nothing at a time, and actually I was lucky because nobody else had thought of that idea.
So it was again a first mover
I had a
advantage.
free market in front of me. Right now, Genpact is whatever, $5 billion in revenues. I would have made it 20 billion by now.
Wow. Welcome to Mahakumbh Startup 2024. What does it strike to you when you look at this term, Mahakumbh Startup? It's like a Kumbh Mela of startups.
I think one of our key people, the Secretary of DPIIT, he said it well, I think. It's a coming out party for startups, right? And finally, this conglomeration, this revolution that's been going through India, this storm, this tsunami is coming together. And I think this is a fantastic venue, fantastic organization, loads of people organized to do it. But this coming together is so critical. And I hope it'll be the biggest startup event in the world.
It certainly looks like. I want to understand from you, from a very different perspective, how to look at this whole wave of startup in India. We obviously, with you, I have to look at it positively, as I could sense in the last 10 minutes of our offline talk. But when we are growing into this journey, we're still growing, or we're still beginning to grow.
We're at 2 out of 10 right now in terms of the pace at which we have to grow. It's moving very fast, but remember, we came from a situation where it didn't exist to be effective. Even though companies like Genpact are startups.
Yes.
Right? We started in 1996. If you look at Airtel, that was a brand new startup, right? We look at so many other companies which have done so well in India, Infosys, all the IT companies, they're all startups. I think earlier, India's a nation of entrepreneurs. You became an entrepreneur by default because you actually didn't have a choice. If you didn't have a formal sector job, a big multinational or something like that, you became an entrepreneur. You had no choice. Now you're becoming an entrepreneur purely by choice because it's okay to fail. There's no fear of failure, or there is some, but it's gone away. There's lots of money available, and that money is available for you. Even if you fail, doesn't mean you are lost. It allows you to go forward. The market has opened up. The digital revolution has opened the market in a way could never happen. I mean, I'm in financial services. Suddenly, I can reach 50 million customers.
Wow. Yes.
Pehle, I would go to one district, one village, one place, one at a time, set up a branch office. That revolutionary element of what's happening on the digital public infrastructure in India, it's not happened anywhere in the world. We come from we're a relatively poor nation. We have to remember that.
We have to accept that though.
Right.
But understanding from the point you said that the fear has gone, do you think we have dispelled the fear, as you said, because there are more choices? Is it because of the money available in the market, which was not back then, that people are okay to take this chance? How can suddenly people have the courage to become business entrepreneurs? Because that needs a mind like that.
Absolutely.
And not being negative, but coming from family, business family. I did job in my life. But when I had to again go back to business thought, I only thought it might be in my DNA. Otherwise, why should I do that? What if it fails and social stigma is there?
I know.
And who will take me for a job again that you failed? So Is money enough to bring you to that state of mind?
It's not money. You're absolutely right. It's a cultural mindset. It's a mindset saying, I'm going to do a startup, and if it fails, I'll try again. And many of us, I mean, Sanjeev, you interviewed him just now, myself, many others, we are very happy to fund people who have failed.
Okay.
In fact, when I'm hiring people into a company, I look for people who have tried hard and failed and then brought them in. Not someone who's just had a very nice, easy ride to success. I think that's one. Two, there are many more options available. Certainly when I was growing up, there were no options. If you failed, you were badly out of luck.
Yes.
You were going to be on the road, you're going to be struggling, etc. Now you have plenty of jobs available, plenty of options. Yes, in areas it seems like there aren't many jobs available.
Yes.
But the fact is there's a huge premium for talent today in India. In fact, to me, the biggest worry in India to me is the lack of talent at the level and volume we need, because people are commanding global salaries
Yes.
here now. I think all of those have combined. I'll tell you, when I spun off Genpact from GE Capital, my mother asked me, she said, are you mad? Are you okay? What is the matter with you? And she actually finally asked me, after going around the family, who weren't telling her anything, she finally told me, she said, you got fired by GE, right? Isn't that why you're doing this?
What was your reply?
I said, look, I can't convince you. I asked her, I said, do you want me to get a certificate from the company? I'll get you one. But that was a level of concern around entrepreneurship. That's been dispelled. In 20 years, India's marched forward so wonderfully well. Awareness, colleges, tinkering labs, schools. This news is everywhere, and that's how you change the entire mindset of a nation.
So you've changed the mindset of the nation, but can you tell us how investors have that guts and trust? What they look for in an entrepreneur? We did ask this question to many. What makes you believe, okay, this is my investment, I'm going to risk it here? Out of 5, 1 will definitely go for me. Is it just a gamble out with your money that let's play a poker with startups? Or it's just something that you calculate too much and your mind is different?
No, I will tell you, there are many people who are gambling, who invest in too many startups.
You would like to know the names, which you can't tell us.
To be honest, I think in the past, it's happened over the last 5-10 years. Valuations are overblown.
Yes,
people have come in and stuck money down people's throats and say, take it. They've taken valuation to ridiculous levels to make them say. I mean, that's one of the reasons, by the way, I'm one of the few people, I hate this word unicorn, right? I mean, I'm saying there are thousands of great companies around.
Yes.
Let's celebrate them all. And I don't like unicorn, I don't hate it, but I don't like unicorn because it forces you to think about valuation, which is irrelevant. Think your idea is more important. And the first thing I learned when I was running a New York Stock Exchange company, which is Genpact, is that stop looking at the stock market and your valuation. It'll drive you bananas and it'll drive you to the wrong decisions. And that was part of why I worry about this. Whereas there are so many companies, $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, all of them successful, all of them worth celebrating. And there are fantastic companies out there.
What led to this valuation game? Why I'm asking, there are companies which are under huge pressure of the valuation they have created for themselves,
Yes.
and they're not able to maintain their top line.
Absolutely.
They're
They
like, we have
can't
no
maintain
operating profit also working in our favor. How do we survive? And you guys have put so much pressure.
Absolutely.
And they stake down, sell it off, founders
I
get out
wouldn't
of
say
it.
these founders should say you have put so much pressure. They put pressure themselves. They are adults. They have done this willingly and knowingly. So I have no truck with saying somebody else did this to me. I think we should get away from that. I do think money is the cheapest commodity in the world.
Okay.
And money is available to everyone all the time. And there's too much money in the world looking for a home. Look, if you go, Rajanandan was saying we have $20 billion of dry powder just for India. If you go to the US, the returns people are making on money, if you run a hedge fund or something like that, is like 5%.
Wow.
That's it.
Nothing.
8%, 7%. Most of them don't even make enough money versus the stock market. And they have trillions of dollars to put into play.
Okay.
So money is what chases these valuations, right? And one person invests and they bring their husband. It's like a pass the parcel, right? And you keep passing it till the music stops. So I think that stuff, hopefully that time has ended. It'll come back, by the way. Within 5 years, this bubble will be back, right? It's what we do. I'm from financial services. It's what we do really well. We create nice new bubbles all the time when it gets very
You busted
boring.
out.
But what you need to look for, honestly, is what we all look for. I think that you'll find a commonality. Great entrepreneurs. People you can trust, people who are committed, people who will work hard, people who have brains, people who are bright, and people who will change and adapt and be flexible. Because the only thing that I can tell you about an initial business plan shown to us by any startup is that it's wrong.
Okay.
It will always be wrong. You can never predict how it'll go. So you need someone at the helm who's really good and adept at reading the market, figuring out how to change, figuring out what to do, being adaptive. I think that's one. You want integrity and values. So integrity and values is an incredibly important thing, because without that and no trust, it all falls apart. And the last one I would say is, what I look for is someone who can build great teams. Building a great team in India is still a scarce commodity.
Because of the diversity in people, or being a team leader to the diverse?
We have a hard time working as teams. Very often. We have a hard time getting...
What comes in our way in India when it comes to building a team?
I don't know if it's an old-fashioned mentality of...
It's an emotional country. It is very difficult to...
Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, I love it. Whenever I tell somebody, I don't think we've done well here, they take it. It's a personal attack on my character. And I always try and tell them it's...
We are very protective of what we think of ourselves. Then what do you think of us?
Well, if I may use a different term, we are highly insecure about that. We're not protective. But the fact is, I think it's a very... what we can be, and and now, by the way, I find the youngsters getting together, working together brilliantly, much more than old guys like me. But building a team in India, high class, high energy, fantastic team.
Good efficiency.
Fantastic productivity, ability to work together, remains a very hard task. So I look for people who can inspire and lead people, because if you're building a business of any scale and size, you can't do it alone.
You brought me to one question before I let you go, is about what is the timeline for a startup? Every startup cannot see a journey that goes to become a giant business tomorrow. So when they start off, should they look at a timeline that I would be able to run it successfully for 10 years before I let go of it, get investors, dilute myself out? Is there a legit timeline that startups, entrepreneurs can look at?
No. There's no such thing. The fact is, when you have a startup and an idea, you are very rarely going to be able to predict where that company is going to be 5 to 10 years from now. Very rarely. When I started Genpact, I remember recruiting Tiger Thiagarajan, who worked for me for many years. And I said, Tiger, can I tell you, one day we will have 2,000 people in this organization. 2,000. Today we have 130,000. So you have no idea, right? So you have no idea about these. You can't predict. I think Sanjeev was talking about Zomato earlier in the other hall. You can't predict that they're going into food delivery from where they are. So these are, if you think you can, then you should become someone else. Then I think they should definitely go to Las Vegas and play the roulette, because they'll make a shitload more money. But you can't predict these. There is no timeline. Some startups will take 5 years. Some startups will take 20. Some startups you work much harder. I talked to Sunil Mittal.
Yes.
He started with nothing. As he tells you about competition, laughingly, he says, don't tell me about competition. I compete with Jio. So please, let me...
I don't think he was allowed to compete with Jio.
No, he's competing.
Now he certainly is, but the game turned around.
No. He's a phenomenal competitor all the way through. You should interview him sometime. He's a phenomenal competitor all the way through. It took him 20 years, If you look at many established companies today, they weren't doing well earlier, now they're flourishing. I don't think there are any rules like these which you can
But do you
apply
think the startups won't go to a phase where we see now, evidently, other than the ones who are really making it good, people do want to get out of it in few years, less than a decade, and believe that's how I wanted to do it. Make it, leave the idea.
That's not true.
Kick out, but that's not part of the real startup culture that we're looking at.
Everybody's different. I think there's no one brush for all of them. Everybody's different. Some people are happy for 20 years, some people are happy for 5, some people will get tired midway, some people will not retire when they're 90, they're still continuing. I mean, look at Joe Biden, right?
Yes.
He still wants to do it. So I think it's up to you. We are 1 billion and 1.4 billion people. Each one is a character, each one is a personality, each one has a different idea. We have a noisy, raucous democracy and a noisy, raucous startup environment. Everybody's got different ideas and different things. That's the beauty. And therefore, there are no cookie cutter rules except build a great team, have a great idea, hope it works in the market, test it in the market, great integrity, and play for the long term, because this could take you many hours, in many days, in many months, for many years.
Anything that you want to say, you wish you had this opportunity, a Mahakum startup back then when you started? What would you have done differently?
We were a startup. We were a
Yes, yeah.
startup. I mean, we started with nothing at a time, and actually I was lucky because nobody else had thought of that
So
idea.
it was again a first mover
I had a
advantage.
free market in front of me. And we grew at 100% a year for many years, okay? For many years. I mean, we're now 130,000 people around the world. If anything, I would have gone faster. I wish I had more capital. I wish I had the capital today that
is there in the
at
market
that
today,
time,
which is
because I would have gone much bloody faster. Right now, Genpact is whatever, $5 billion in revenues. I would have made it 20 billion by now.
Wow.
I was ready for that.
You were a daring personality there. Thank you so much for sharing your views on startup and positively painting the brush through to understand that even though we are a poor country, we can make it rich individually.
We're a
too.
developing country. We're the fastest growing developing country in the world. That's the way I think
True
about
to
it.
take that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Pleasure.